My name is Kristina Benjocki. I was born and raised in Zrenjanin in former Yugoslavia, and I moved to Amsterdam when I was 22. I create immersive installations that often include textile, sculpture, sound, as well as still and moving image. Thanks to my mother's profession, I have been inclined to archaeology since my childhood, which I tend to integrate like reflective practice, by which I uncover stories that are often overlooked. My interest is primarily into the topic of the archive, especially the role the archives play in selecting and presenting physical fragments of time. And this I see as a basis of constructing public expression of collective memory. My textile installations aim to introduce the materiality of memory and history as a placeholder for knowledge, inviting the audience to be in connection with something that is actually constantly shaping and reshaping. Born in Zrenjanin in former Yugoslavia, a city known for its tradition in textile making and specifically large rug making industry, I have been long surrounded by the influence of embodied knowledge of woven culture. Tableau 6 and 7, La Composition, is a large-scale installation of two-sided textiles draped over site-specific metal frameworks. The entire installation is hand-woven on this loom and is also an investigation into the language of patterns and symbols of weaving. The graphic black and white compositions of the tapestries are based on Pirot kilim, a Serbian rug weaving tradition that predates the Islamic Ottoman rule over the Balkan and was later used in a building of post-communist national identity. The patterns that are incorporated into the vast array of national visual communication and corporate logos. Ground Bindings Nada Gisela Teresa is an installation with 3 hand-woven textiles, wallpaper, glass shelf and yarn labels. I started working with a loom from a desire to restore connection with the past of my female ancestors, but also with the emancipatory past of the city and the country I grew up in. In textile production, the ground binding is the basic weaving pattern upon which all fabric is made. This work weaves together stories of 3 maternal ancestors with the history of 3 types of yarn. The women working at these factories enjoyed quite numerous social benefits, including free healthcare, housing and education for their children for subsidized prices. After the violent breakup of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, these factories went bankrupt, and the transition to neoliberal capitalism resulted in the erosion of all social programs and rapid factory closures that left many of these women unemployed or working for the multinational companies at wages insufficient to sustain their livelihood. Study of Focus is an installation with 10 jacquard woven tapestries made in wool. I intend to reframe the contested history of former Yugoslavia by weaving tapestries based on enlarged details of history textbooks, specifically those sections that deal with the interpretation and illustration of the Second World War. Considering history writing as a material process, I zoom in on the otherwise overlooked margins of the book pages, and by this also on the narrative about how history is taught and how the history is learned. By doing so, I try to emphasize the details that are not part of the endless flow of information. So in a way, this work is focusing on the history of learning history by choosing to give space to the margin of the book history book page.